What happens when a franchise known more for growing pains suddenly hands you its entire playbook in living, breathing detail? In December 2024, that's exactly what the Indiana Fever did, and basketball fans everywhere stopped mid-scroll. Instead of the typical off-season footage, shots of loaded barbells, tired but triumphant high-fives, or generic highlight reels, the Fever released a series of training videos that looked less like Instagram content and more like a coach's chalkboard come alive. Viewers watched sniper clean corner threes rain down with surgical precision. They saw mid-range pull-ups uncorked in the blink of an eye, floaters stroked with delicate accuracy, and post-entry moves executed against live resistance. Within 24 hours, those clips had amassed 2.7 million views. What felt like a behind-the-scenes peek was actually a full-blown schematic. Spacing principles drawn in real time, defensive rotation counters revealed, and even in-game vulnerabilities addressed head-on. But if you think you'd uncovered every strategic pearl, the Fever kept rolling out drills. One in particular that directly targeted a late-season defensive flaw that had cost them precious wins. And then just when you thought you had the whole playbook, they hit you with the bombshell. This was only the beginning. Long before the cameras rolled, the Fever had quietly reshaped their culture. After years of sub-500 finishes and roster turnover, management hired Keith Porter, the coach whose reputation for player development preceded him. Porter's vision was simple: transparency breeds excellence. He insisted that every drill, every rep, every correction be publicly documented. No more hiding the X's and O's. Instead of a mysterious trust the process mantra, fans got to witness the process in excruciating detail. And as fans scoured each clip, they realized two critical things. First, the Fever weren't afraid to expose their weaknesses, and second, they were building a championship foundation brick by brick. That revelation sparked a frenzy among analysts who suddenly had a front row seat to what felt like an NBA level operation, and it set the bar for off-season transparency across the league. At the heart of this blueprint stood Aaliyah Boston, the towering force who had quietly transformed from a bruising rebounder into a Swiss Army knife of post-defense. In last year's film sessions, opponents keyed on her right-hand push, daring her to finish through contact. More often than not, Boston hesitated or flinched, allowing defenders to reset. That vulnerability showed up in scouting reports as a glaring weakness, but in those training videos, that weakness evaporated. Drill after drill, you watched Boston hammer away at left-hand finishing. You saw floaters arc over collapsing shot blockers, footwork drills that created inch-perfect separation, and live resistance exercises that mimicked double teams at game speed. Her rookie field goal percentage of 55.2% didn't simply tick upward by chance, it soared because each drill was designed to neutralize a film-scouted flaw. When she nipped the rim with a right-hand push shot that used to clang off, it felt like watching theory turn into reality. And as her post moves sharpened, a new dynamic began to emerge. A dynamic that set the stage for one of the league's most electric floor generals. Enter Caitlin Clark, the sharpshooter whose college theatrics already felt legendary. Transferring her fearless scoring to the Fever's system, Clark wasn't just firing pull-ups, she was executing a mastercraft. Imagine this: at 17 feet, she catches the ball, hitches her shoulder, and releases a perfect one-timer before a defender's feet have settled. Drill after drill, Clark refined quick-release mechanics, perfected step-backs that left defenders grasping air, and smoothed out her off-the-dribble form so her motion became almost invisible. You watched her destroy zone looks with pinpoint passing angles, then immediately step into a mid-range feather to keep defenses honest. Every swish felt like a domino falling. This range prowess stretched defenses, opened driving lanes for Boston, and unlocked corner threes for the role players. It was synergy on display, one star's precision creating opportunities for another, all under the feverish lens of transparency. Yet the Fever's rise wasn't a two-woman show. Role players stepped into the spotlight with equal polish. Sophie Cunningham slid seamlessly into pop-out corner threes the moment Clark's drive forced help defend. Natasha Howard perfected short roll finishes that punished lazy rotations. Dana Bonner turned contested catch-and-shoot chances into reliable wing weapons. Even Brianna Turner, known more for her rim protection than her offense, drilled vertical spacing footwork to ensure lanes stayed open for Boston's drop step. Then came the defensive breakdowns, live-action help-side rotations that showed exactly how the team would swarm, recover, and contain penetration. It was as if the Fever were handing out free masterclasses in team basketball. For fans, it felt like every player had become a teacher, revealing the inner workings of a franchise that refused to hide its hand. The mastermind orchestrating this off-season revolution was Coach Keith Porter. Footage shows him not on the bench barking clipboard commands, but in the trenches, defending players at full speed, poking at passes, and immediately resetting drills with precise pointers. Shoulder square to the pass, passer, step here to burst the zone, and push your pivot foot deeper are phrases that echo through the gym. Porter's philosophy is tactical economy. Every single drill must solve a problem you'll see on game night. He taught his players to link individual skill drills to broader team concepts, turning conditioning sessions into strategic rehearsals. When practice ended, it wasn't just sweat that clung to their jerseys, it was confidence in a system built on clarity and purpose, and as highlight compilers grabbed camera phone clips, momentum built, turning Indianapolis into the epicenter of off-season buzz. But not every star's off-season montage tells such a coherent story. Case in point, Angel Reese's recent training footage. Scroll through her clips and you'll spot pull-ups raining in isolation, deep threes launched from the logo, and mid-range floaters that shimmer with style but lack substance. Last season, Reese converted just 44.5% of her layups under 5 feet and a meager 11.1% from 5 to 10 feet. Yet her video showcased exactly the shots that betray those struggles. With no coach in sight to correct nuances or explain the strategy, it looked less like systematic skill building and more like a highlight reel audition. Purists winced as commentators publicly urged. Shaquille O'Neal implored her to lock in on the rim, while Lisa Leslie tweeted, "Master the basics first." Instead of doubling down on fundamentals, Reese doubled down on splashy looks that don't translate to game scenarios. The result, a disconnect so glaring that fans began wondering whether her off-season focus was hype over hard work. When the analytics community caught wind of Reese's footage, the backlash was immediate and data-driven. A 39.1% overall FG rate and sub 15% efficiency from 5 to 9 feet are alarm bells for any 6'3" post player. Statisticians pointed out that nearly 40% of her rebounds were simply cleaning up her own misses, numbers that painted a deceptive picture of dominance. Social feeds lit up with heated debates. Coaches dissected her low release point, analysts charted her footwork inefficiencies, and die-hard fans pleaded for a back-to-basics regimen. Finish at the cup before you finish from the logo. One viral tweet read, "The perimeter will come if the post is locked down." Another insisted. Despite these warnings, Reese's training montage remained unchanged, leaving observers to wonder if she'd ever heed the expert counsel. All of this sets the stage for a broader showdown. Discipline versus hype. On one side, you have the Indiana Fever, methodically constructing a championship culture so transparent that it invites scrutiny, study, and eventual mastery. On the other, a superstar whose off-season content dazzles at first glance but reveals a troubling misalignment on closer inspection. Will the WNBA remember the Fever's disciplined transparency, built on purpose, clarity, and collective vision, or will the allure of viral moments overshadow the sustenance needed for real growth? As the new season dawns, every clip, every drill, every swish will be under the microscope. The Fever's blueprint will be battle-tested in live rotations and crunch time moments. Will those corner threes hold under playoff pressure? Can Clark's pull-ups bail out the team in late-game stretches? Will Boston's post counters seal close contests? And somewhere in that fray, Angel Reese's skills will be put to the test. Will her off-season flair translate into reliable finishing, or will the glaring gaps reappear in high-stakes matchups? The lesson extends beyond basketball. In any endeavor, whether building a brand, launching a product, or crafting a creative career, the path you choose to drill shapes your result. Transparency breeds trust, but demands accountability. Discipline builds foundations, but requires patience. Hype draws eyes, but risks emptying hearts when substance is lacking. And in an era where attention is the ultimate currency, only those who balance spectacle with substance will endure. So here's your choice. Side with methodical mastery, where every rep has purpose and every play is studied, or chase the allure of the next viral highlight, even if it leaves you exposed when the lights shine brightest. The evidence is clear. Discipline wins championships.